Hey you guys, welcome back to another Shared News Bachelor Recap. I'm your host, Renee Ariel.
And I'm Fiona Zaring.
And listen, there's a lot to talk about. But before we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so we can talk Bachelor together. Because at this point, we kind of need each other.
We need a support system.
We need a support system. But you guys, a lot happened on last night's episode. So let's do our 60-second recap. On last night's episode of The Bachelor, it's Fantasy Suite Week, but before the girls head to Australia, Madi pulls Peter aside to tell him she doesn't want him having sex with anyone. When they all go to Australia, the girls are awkwardly all staying in the same house and constantly complimenting each other on how tan they are. Hannah Ann gets the first date and her and Peter go jet skiing, hang out on the beach, and constantly talk about how into each other they are. Later on, they spend the night together and presumably boink. Victoria F gets the second date and Peter takes her on a helicopter to a waterfall. Brings you back to that Cosmo cover shoot that got pulled, doesn't it? At dinner, Victoria explains why she gets defensive and how she's working on it and then starts crying. The two spend the night together and wake up in each other's arms talking about how great of a night they had, probably because they boinked too. Finally, Madison gets her date after having a pretty bad week worrying about Peter, and they have a great time scaling the edge of a building. At dinner, things get real. Peter tells Madison he has been intimate with the other women, and Madison gets upset. They hug for a long time. He tells her not to go, but she goes. The end. This episode was nuts on so many levels, mainly because I could not handle the awkward scenes of the three girls complimenting each other in that house that the producers forced them to stay in.
The whole episode put me into like stages of anxiety. First I was just like nervous, then I like genuinely couldn't keep my eyes off of it because it was like a train wreck.
Such a train wreck.
So stressful.
Wait, Fiona, you look really tan.
Wait, you look so skinny.
You look cute.
You look cute.
You look so tan.
Oh, thanks.
You guys look so cute. You look so skinny.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you look cute. I look adorable.
You look tan.
Yeah, you do. You look really tan.
That was the whole episode.
And what else were they supposed to do?
It was so awkward. And they were doing like fake smiles. They were like, how was your overnight date with Peter? Like, it was bad. But speaking of overnight dates, let's start with the first overnight date of the episode, which was with Hannah Ann. Okay, because I think, and you guys, true fans, tell me down in the comments below, I think this is the first time that for Fantasy Suite Week we've seen the girls or guys stay together in the same house and then Peter awkwardly like picks one of them up. Because it's weird knowing that like your man's about to go with your friend.
I just like, I don't know. I said it last week and I say it again. They just felt like this whole season has been so dramatic.
Yeah.
Let's just put them in a pressure cooker, stick the lid on and see what happens. Granted, they didn't like all blow up at each other, which took what I have to assume some serious self-restraint because tensions, even though they all seem to like each other well enough, it's not that. It's just like that is the most unbelievably painful scenario I can imagine. Like if my boyfriend put me in a house with his two other girlfriends and then one by one took them away, I would literally lose my mind.
Yeah.
And it would have nothing to do with the other girls.
No.
So like you have to commend them, even though it may have been incredibly awkward. That banter they had back and forth was pretty impressive if you think about it.
Yeah, it was just hard to watch.
It was hard to watch.
It was hard to watch.
It was hard to watch.
But you know what wasn't hard to watch? Hannah Ann and Peter going jet skiing.
Aw.
What a time.
It was cute.
It was cute. I
It
feel
was
like we
funny.
say that every time with Hannah Ann's dates. Like, they're cute. Do I feel insane amounts of chemistry? No. Is there attraction there? Of course. Hannah Ann, I think, really does like Peter.
I think she also this week like tried, like we've said before, like before that letter, and he even called her out on it. Like
You mean the pink one where she dotted her eyes with hearts?
That's the one. Like she just was very like smiling all the time and like giggly, but like didn't give like a lot of emotion. And then she did the letter, and she really's been making an effort to open up. And she really, I think, made an effort to open up on this and say like, I get this is a really hard situation. Like, I'm here no matter what. Like, that was a very sweet moment, and it seemed very genuine.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And she made a note this date, which I actually want to bring a point on to tell Peter, like, no matter what happens this week, it's cool. I'm here for you.
Right.
Which, you know who didn't do that in the beginning of the episode? Madison. Okay, so listen. So obviously where we picked up last week was with that conversation with Madison that we're going to get more into, but we entered the episode with Madison making it pretty clear that she doesn't want Peter to go, and be intimate with other contestants.
Right.
So, going into that, we see one girl being like, no, and then Hannah Ann being the polar opposite and saying like, totally fine, like do whatever you need to do off the bat. And that was interesting though, having those two back to back like that.
Totally. And again, maybe I'm just too much of a skeptic for this show, but I have to wonder if her producer coached her before going into this date, being like, this is a really stressful week for him too. Like, you should really reassure him that no matter what, you're going to be here. Or you know what? Maybe that's just like what she was genuinely feeling. Either way, I don't think she would have said it if it wasn't true.
Yeah.
But it was a super stark comparison.
Yeah, 100%. The other weird thing about Hannah Ann's date that I thought was, so obviously they have like an intimate talk. They do spend the night together in a fantasy suite and like make out. Oh, we would just like to call this right here, right now. These investigative journalists solved the mystery, cracked the code, if you will, that
hair
it was Hannah Ann due to the hair link.
Yep, we know.
Up against the bathroom door. It happened.
Yeah.
But we didn't see them wake up together, and I thought that was weird.
Listen, I haven't been watching the show for as long as you have, so I don't know the whole history of the waking up together in the morning. It was odd that they didn't bookend the date, but I have this feeling that it's just because whatever happened was kind of boring. Because if it was dramatic, they obviously wouldn't have cut it out. If it was embarrassing, they wouldn't have cut it out. So like...
Yeah, but they showed Victoria F's, who we'll get into her date next, and I just... Obviously, we only had the 2 fantasy suite dates, like really... fantasy suited up. So I thought it was weird that they didn't include hers, and it makes me wonder why. Maybe it'll be in a deleted scene. Sometimes they do that. But I thought that was kind of odd. And then, of course, instead of having a wake-up scene, Hannah Ann enters the House of Death back with Victoria F. and Madison.
Oh, and the House of Death. I was like, wait, what happened? Something dangerous?
No. But then they compliment each other once again and how tan they are.
And how cute they are.
Yeah.
Her date was cute overall.
It was cute.
Perfect word for it. Shall we move on?
Shall we move on to Victoria F's date? Okay, so Victoria
Also
F, they went in a helicopter. They went to a waterfall, which all I could think about was like the Cosmo shoot cover date that failed because her cover was pulled.
They've also gone flying together already. They've already been to a waterfall. I was kind of bored of the date premise in and of itself.
They have fun banter, but they're both delusional about each other. I'm sorry, but these quotes from this, actually, speaking of which, brings us to our favorite segment, Deep Thoughts on Dumb Quotes. Peter says something about Victoria on this date that I just need to read to you guys, and I really want you to take it in. Like we did.
We rewound just to make sure that he actually really said this.
He said this.
I love everything about my relationship with Victoria, except when it comes to just communicating.
I love everything about our relationship, him and Victoria's, except when it comes to just communicating. I'm sorry. Except when it comes to the biggest part of a relationship.
Because the thing is, like, you have to communicate in every stage of a relationship.
Every stage.
There's not one facet of a relationship that doesn't involve some level of communicating.
Like, what do you think he meant? Because I don't even know how to dive into that.
He loves when he says, like, oh, wow, a waterfall. And she goes, a waterfall. That's what he loves. But real conversation?
That's hard.
That's too hard.
That's the 1% of the relationship that's the problem that he said last time.
Listen, I'm like so exhausted by them.
Me too.
I think that they both really do believe there's something worth fighting for there, and that is absolutely their own business. If they end up living a long, happy life together, then I'm so happy for them and would love to admit that I am wrong. But this relationship is hard to watch.
Totally. Do you believe that it's something worth fighting for, or that they think it is because you think that, or because they say it every second?
I think that this is a classic case of when you feel like you just can't get it right, you're holding on to this like passion, energy, excitement, and this like mystery to solve. Like, what would it be? Well, we just haven't put the right pieces together yet. Like, when we get it right, if we get it right, we can get it right. Yeah. What is it gonna look like? You have this big question mark there that you build up in your head as like, once we get this right, it's gonna be life-changing. It never is.
No.
That's not how it works,
No.
though.
But Peter did say he doesn't want easy, so good job, Peter. Also on this date, Victoria opens up about why she gets so defensive, and it's because in her last relationship that she was in for 3.5 years, that I'm hoping wasn't one of the married men, she does say that.
Oh, I didn't even consider that. Oh,
That's all I could think about. I'm like, hopefully it wasn't one of her friend's husbands. Anyways, not confirmed, allegedly, whatever. She says that in her last relationship, her feelings weren't really taken into consideration. So when Peter asks her questions about anything, she just gets defensive, you know?
because she thinks it's like a red flag. Like him caring about her feelings in her eyes is interpreted as kind of like a red flag. So she promises to try to not get that way, but then he asks her about her feelings and she immediately gets defensive. So it's an ongoing thing. She, probably watching this back, realized herself she has to work on. And I don't really have anything left to say about these two. I'm so tired.
I'm so over it. But
It's just not a good match, and
Not a
that's
good
okay.
match. It's okay.
There's someone out there for them.
You know who's out there? Madison.
Ugh.
Okay, listen. This was a hard episode to watch from the get-go because we knew going into it, Peter is going to make some love to some women. We didn't know how many, but we knew at least one or two. And Madison made it clear from the beginning of this episode, she pulled Peter aside. We thought she was going to tell him that she was saving herself for marriage, but she didn't at that point.
My
Which I thought was-
one critique.
Yeah.
My one critique is I feel like, and it's not a real critique because I get it. A, that's a hard conversation to have. It's
Yeah.
very vulnerable.
Totally.
B, not only do you have to have it with the person you're dating, but you have to have it with the person who you're supposed to be in love with, who you've only really been dating for 15 minutes alongside 20 zillion other women, and cameras in your face. Like it's a daunting conversation, and in these circumstances, it's a million times more daunting. The thing is, though, I feel like Peter, and I say this with love, is a little slow. So I think had he known earlier on this part of it, he would have understood more how much and what she was really saying when she brought this up.
Yeah.
Like if at hometowns she had revealed this to him. Do you know what I mean? Like this conversation would have been coming from a different place, or if she had revealed it, now it would have been coming from a different place. Again, her own path, her own journey. No criticisms there. I just wonder if that would have changed things.
I will also say I think watching it, because I was watching it knowing what she meant based on the promos and the teases beforehand, but I don't know if she made it super clear what, like, did she, because to be honest, when you have so many thoughts in your head, for me especially, like when I'm very anxious about something or stressed about something and I have to turn those stresses and anxieties into words, sometimes it's easier said than done. Sometimes you think what you're gonna say is gonna come out right, but then it comes out with, what was it, like 210 likes, that one episode that Jimmy Kimmel posted in a segment.
Wasn't just her.
But I think it can be hard to get your point across. And he seemed to keep on wanting to clarify what she meant. And
I think he was tossed up. Like I think I agree with what you're saying. I got it. I did get what she was trying to say, and I thought she was, if she was being careful, it was because I think she didn't want it to seem like she was trying to give him an ultimatum. It was more of just expressing like where she was. She was still trying, I think, as best as she could to be considerate of his position in all of this.
yeah.
I think the thing he kept asking for clarification on is, okay, is it sex or is it spending the night with them? That's what seemed to trip him up. Again, he ended up, as he admitted, being intimate. So either way, it didn't really matter. He went and did both anyways. But I think that there was definitely, you're right, a little bit of a like, he was tripped up on logistics and didn't quite like, it didn't go perfectly.
And she didn't say, I think, a key part in this, which is that she's saving herself for marriage. Because,
Again,
listen, before this episode, a lot of people were kind of comparing her to Luke P., which we're going to get to that in a second. I don't agree with that, and I think one big part with her versus Luke P. and the difference is she came from a place of these are my morals, these are my values, this is how I live my life, and I won't judge you accordingly, but this is what I'm looking for in a person.
Yeah.
Rather than yeah, I've had sex with whoever, but right now this week I don't want you to because it's more of a control thing, or like you're judgy of them. And it wasn't that with Madison.
Not at all. I can't imagine what it would be like to be in her shoes. We're just speculating like this is a video game. Like it's not. Yeah. It's not like player does the right thing here, gets bonus points, everything else works out. Like it's so much more complicated than that. Who knows what would have happened?
Totally.
My heart broke for her and I wanted it to go her way. That's why I feel like after the fact, watching it, I was like, oh no, like could it have? Like I really didn't want to see them in the place they're in.
I know, because they had such a great date. They like scaled the edge of a building, which honestly would be my nightmare. I would never want to do that ever. But they have so much fun together. Everything was sunshine and daisies until they got to dinner. And then things got real quick. And we were just on the edge of our seats watching what's going to happen. And Peter just knew, like, you saw the wheels turning. And for a second, like, had we not seen it in the teaser, I was wondering if he was even going to come forward and tell her that he's been intimate with anyone else.
Because at first I think he was trying to, I think him not saying it right off the bat came from a place of trying to respect the privacy of his other relationships, which I didn't fault him for. The way he was handling it didn't bother me. The thing is, we both said it when they got together. The minute they were with each other, the entire energy, the chemistry was clearly here compared to everybody else's. Yeah. Like they really have a bond. Yeah, and I think they both like handled this conversation as best they could. She was so respectful of the fact that like, it's okay. It just can't be, it's my values. It's not your problem. It's my beliefs and I'm not gonna compromise them. And she has A, every right to do that. And B, there was one line where we paused it and I was like, this sucks because she's such a catch, where she said, you have to understand, like I'm obviously rephrasing because I don't remember the exact quote, but like you have to understand like marriage is so important to me. How are you supposed to get down on a knee? And in the back of my mind, like when I'm trying to accept that proposal, you slept with someone else 6 days ago. In any relationship in the world, if you knew your boyfriend was proposing to you having slept with someone 6 days before, that's a terrible position to be in. That's a proposal with a lot of doubts, anxieties, stresses, etc. This is reality TV. Everything's heightened. Fantasy Suites was always going to be a part of it. So yes, there are a lot of complications, but her logic to me is so sound, so normal, so respectful of him, and just like, it's a tragedy because she's not being crazy.
She's not being crazy. And you know what I think we need to do?
What?
Because of how not crazy she's being, I think we need to do a whiteboard breakdown on Madison's breakdown. Welcome to another whiteboard breakdown. Today, we are going to be doing a breakdown of Madison's breakdown.
Poor girl.
Poor girl. It's been a rough week. Usually, fantasy suites are a fantasy, but not this week for Madison. Why is that, Fiona?
Well, Madison is not interested in things that are rated R.
That's true.
I mean, am I wrong?
You're not wrong. And
she's not interested.
Between that, a little bit of Hannah Ann, another little bit of Victoria F, and a lot of bit of Peter Weber, it just made for a disaster.
Here's the thing. This was heartbreaking to watch.
It was.
We love Madison.
We love Madison.
America loves Madison. Madison?
Who's that?
We love Madison. America loves Madison. Peter
loves Madison.
This was horrible.
Horrible to watch. Madison started the week off with a little conversation with Peter. Did the conversation end in a very direct place where both parties knew what each other wanted?
No. They didn't make a verbal agreement.
Nope.
They didn't draw out a contract. They didn't shake hands.
Kelly could have been there drawing up a contract if he didn't eliminate her and keep Victoria F.
If only Kelly had been there. Anyways.
Moment of silence for Kelly. Anyways. So, basically, Madison tells Peter that she would not feel comfortable if he were to be intimate with any of the other girls during fantasy week. However, Peter had a very hard time understanding her and was like, do you mean just like the sleepover part, like spending the night together part?
He wanted to know like what bases he could round, like what was in the realm of like appropriate.
Yeah.
But you could tell having that conversation, you could see the wheels turning. He was like, but I care about her so much, but I can't do that. But I care about her so much, but I won't do that.
I am not. It's fantasy week, sweet week.
Then, of course, her date came last.
Ugh, and all week, Madison is progressively growing more anxious. Why? Because they're all staying together in one house during fantasy suite week. And let me tell you, watching Hannah Ann come home after her overnight date and sitting here while you're in love with Peter, not easy.
No, not easy at all.
At all. On top of that, Madison hadn't told Peter a key part in why she feels the way she feels, which is
Madison is saving herself for marriage. She has made choices for herself that she has every right to make.
Yep.
She has set standards for herself
Yep.
that she has lived her life upholding. She has been honest with Peter about a lot of what is important to her. She's made it clear that her faith is important to her. She's shown a really good version of herself, explaining her values. She didn't specifically say she was a virgin, which led to their dinner conversation.
whoo, okay.
It was tough.
This dinner conversation was very, very, very hard to watch. Let me tell you. First of all, Madison was telling Peter while they're at dinner, after Peter knows he has already slept with one or two other contestants, that she literally won't stay and marry him if he had done what he had already done.
Our boy Peter
Very upset.
went from this to this.
Turbulence ahead, am I right, ladies?
Yeah, some turbulence.
So, Madison and Peter have a moment, and by a moment we mean 20 minutes of just crying, hugging, talking. Peter did the one thing that Madison explicitly asked him not to do. So, we had her basically telling him, hey, these are just my morals, my values. I don't expect you to agree with all of them, but this is what I live my life by. So for me, I don't want to feel bad for feeling this way, but also I'm not judging you. Of course, I care about you, but I need to do what's right for me. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that.
Here's the thing. Basically, I feel as though you could go toe-to-toe with me on this. Madison did no wrong because she was basically hoping, which she has every right to hope, that at this stage of the game, Peter's love for her would be so strong that he wouldn't be interested in sleeping with someone else. When you're in love with someone and in a committed relationship, the thought of sleeping with someone else is typically not appetizing. It would make me nauseous. The thought of cheating on my boyfriend would make me physically nauseous. So I think what she was just hoping for is that he was in that place, and that even though he was dating two other women, those relationships were not in the same place as theirs.
Yep.
Which she has every right to hope for.
Yeah, and she said in that first conversation, correct me if I'm wrong, actions speak louder than words. So she was hoping to put it out there, but not have to tell him, you can't do this, just letting him know how it would make her feel. But you know what Peter did anyways? He did that.
He did that.
Madison wasn't happy about it, so you know what we think is happening currently where we're left right now? She's packing her bags, we think. Why do we think this, Fiona?
Well, here's the thing. We didn't specifically hear her say, I'm leaving.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Nope.
I'm done.
Yep.
I can't do this.
Can't do it.
No.
Nope.
Specifically, what we did hear was him say, I can't lose you. But she does walk away.
And he also says, if you see anything between us like a forever, don't walk away.
Technically speaking, we saw her walk away.
We
Where
did.
she was going.
We don't know.
We don't know.
The hotel, the bathroom, to a producer.
Could
get
she have
food.
just said, I need some air, and they cut that line out?
Totally.
Absolutely. So yes, there is a chance that this wasn't her self-eliminating.
Yep.
For argument's sake, let's say she did self-eliminate. Bags are packed. She's out of here.
Yep.
Because she has her morals and she's sticking to them. And that's okay, girl. What happens in that promo? What's that moment? What's that moment that we see? You know the one.
Tell me.
You know the one.
Tell me if this looks familiar.
That moment. That moment.
You guys, bring her back to us.
Don't let her go.
Is that what? Yeah, both of those
Don't
things.
let her go.
Bring her back home to us. Who else would it be? Is it Julie LaPlaca? Well,
No.
we don't think so. Is it Hannah Brown?
No.
No. Is it Madison? Yes. We think.
We think.
Especially because for the next promo, we don't even see Madison. Where is she? Where has she gone? Peter's obviously chasing after somebody. Who else would it be at this point?
Who else walked? Well, Victoria F. walked away,
yeah,
but that's
like,
a totally
like,
different
whatever.
story.
She
Did
walked
you
away every
notice how when
episode.
she needed air, she said, "Could you excuse me for a second?" She didn't slam the chair back and say, "I can't do this." Anyways, that's a side
beyond
note.
the point. We're just mad.
What else happens in the promo?
Well, glad you asked. We have Victoria F, we have Hannah Ann, but we have a sad Hannah Ann, and I think Victoria F also looked a little bit mad. But they're at a rose ceremony, like on a mountain somewhere, because budget, and there's one rose.
Just one.
R for rose.
Just one, though.
Singular.
Just one.
But there's two girls.
Two girls.
And they're wondering where Madison is.
And Peter is standing off in a field,
Looking sad,
contemplating life,
as per usual.
as he does.
So we're thinking that one rose either has, I don't know.
It's either he went after her, got her to stay, gave her one of the roses, has to choose between the two of them. It's either my brain's tired. She's gone somehow. And only one of them is going to get one because there's only one rose. Or maybe they already gave one of the roses out and this was just a close-up shot for aesthetics. We don't know.
We don't know. We don't work on The Bachelor. But you know what we do know? Twitter reactions.
Yes. And you know what Twitter thinks? That Madison is a treasure.
Yep.
And that Madison needs to be protected.
Yep.
Exhibit A. I don't know if you guys were big fans of High School Musical, but a lot of people out there are making this comparison. This is a scene, that
Can you tell that that says Exhibit A?
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Exhibit A. This is that scene where, you gotta go your own way. It's Zach, it's Vanessa, it's all of us as teenagers melting down because heartbreak is hard. Well, this was Peter and Madison tonight. You can't tell me otherwise. Someone named Caroline tweeted that. And Caroline, I won't tell you otherwise because you're correct.
You are correct.
It basically, their conversation, someone out there should edit it back to back. It followed the entire lyrics of the song.
Yeah, it did a great job.
Great job. I'm just gonna read this one.
Please do.
This is not a Luke P situation. Madison is talking about her feelings and choices, not his. It's not coming from a place of judgment, and I have huge respect for her. Hashtag The Bachelor. This is from someone named College Park Mom. And again, College Park Mom,
We agree.
we're right on the money.
We're going to follow you.
Madison is a national treasure.
She really is. Listen, let me just say, after all of this, I think before with these teasers, people jump to some conclusions, and you know who they had the nerve to compare her to? Luke P. If you guys remember, Luke P was a contestant on Hannah Brown's season. He was my least favorite contestant in the history of ever, maybe before Victoria F. But that's besides the point. Luke P says during Fantasy Suite Week to Hannah Brown that he doesn't want her having sex with any of the other contestants, although he was not saving himself for marriage. It seemed like more of a control thing. He himself had kind of an F-boy past, so people were already like, it seems like, where are you basing this off of? What now? You just don't want any. Anyways, he came from a place where I think it was about control. And you guys remember that conversation? That's why Hannah lost it, where Madison's only making it about herself and her beliefs and what she wants in a husband, and nothing against what Peter does with his life. There's no judgment. there's no punishment. It's not like, oh, I judge you or don't like you now that you did what you did. I think anyone would be hurt in her position.
No, she said she was hurt. She said she was sad. I think she used the word mad, but not in like a how dare he way and just like a mad at the situation way. Here's the thing. She didn't want to accept a proposal from someone who slept with someone else 6 days prior. And you know what? I say good for her. Right?
I say good for her.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe he's going to chase after her. Everything is pretty unclear at this point. I mean, what else could this be about?
You tell us.
Tell us.
Because honestly, we don't know.
We don't know.
What is happening?
Madison, I hope you're okay out there.
I hope everything's good. Honestly.
She's going to be great.
And like, I'm done. So those are our thoughts. But let's move on because obviously Madison walks away and then we got that promo. I don't understand what's happening. I'm not gonna lie. I was fully anticipating a promo next week. It's just women tell all. But they're doing this weird thing where it's not like a 3-hour episode. We think it's just 2 hours. And it's, all we saw was like kind of a weird rose ceremony.
Yeah.
Where there's one rose and only Victoria F and Hannah Ann are there, not Madison. And then there's women tell all. But that's it. Just that's all we've gotten for next week.
And then in 2 weeks,
It's the finale.
It's the finale.
He
and it's the
chases
same stuff.
after probably Madison.
I was gonna say the thing is, usually with these promos, I feel like they give us a tease. They give us something.
Yeah.
This was like the most like chaotic and like I don't know. I mean, I
get it.
The only thing that it sort of looked like was clearly Peter can't make a decision. Clearly he second guesses something. Clearly he walks away. He needs time. He takes it. I mean, like he's by himself for most of the promo.
Yeah, and on top of that, I just can't get over. So, like, Madison, is this her self-eliminating where she walks away in the episode? And also, why is there only one rose for the rose ceremony where there's supposed to be 2? Where is the other rose? Was he hoping to just give out 1? I have so many
Did he not realize her walking away? Like, did he hope? I don't know.
I
Are
don't
we
know.
gonna see him with her? Like,
Is it for Julie LaPlaca? I just have so many questions. Honestly, we're gonna have to wait to see. It just seems like it's gonna be a hot mess of an episode for the rest of the season.
It seems like what they've been teasing is true, that it's going to be a very unique ending because that teaser was
Made no
not
sense.
what I was expecting. The other thing is, whatever you sent me on Instagram from Chris Harrison, what did he
Yeah.
write?
He wrote, "Now the season really begins," or something dramatic
So,
like that.
like,
We'll insert it.
If now the season's really beginning and we're at the final 3 or final 2 because she eliminates, something's coming because the season is ending. And Chris Harrison, who clearly knows what he's talking about, says it's just beginning.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
At this point, with where we're left off here, what do you think is going to happen? Please leave your theories down below because we need to talk about it. We have a whole other week to wait.
So much.
So much time.
Let us know.
But before you go, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you can watch every single Bachelor recap.
And then click right over here to watch another new video.
And as always, I'm your host, Renee Ariel. You can follow me on socials at Renee Ariel.
And I'm Fiona Zaring. You can follow me on socials at Fiona Zaring, and we'll see you guys next time.